All right, time for a quick video on my some solar stuff. Yeah, my dogs destroyed my lawn. Don't get me started. So I just got finished setting some posts in the ground and some quick setting concrete for my solar array. And I guess the point of this video is about self-reliance and how cheap you can do some of this stuff. So I think the main thing, if you want to do some solar, you want to, for independence kind of reasons, you want to shoot for stuff that's not just going to feed straight into the grid. Most people get solar panels and they just feed it straight into the grid and they run their meter backwards. That's great if your only concern is your monthly utility bill. But my motivations are a little different. Yes, I care about those utilities and getting those bills lower. That's a great thing. But I also just care about making my own power for myself. And if you're going to do that, you're going to need a battery bank. Okay. And if you want to get started with this stuff, a great way to start is with one of these Harbor Freight kits, so you can at least get some experience and do some math. You don't have to do that, but it's a great way to start to learn the math. There's my little Harbor Freight one. I still use it to charge batteries and stuff. But getting back to the topic at hand, what I'm going to do is just use off-grid power, because to connect solar panels to my electric company, if you do over a 2,000 watt, I think it's, well, maybe it's it's right around maybe 3 to 4 kilowatts. If you do more than that, you have to actually pay the company to be hooked up to the grid. If you do a small grid, they'll just pay you. But there's a lot of red tape if you connect to the grid at all. So to kind of avoid that red tape, what I have done is I actually wired in a transfer switch to my house in the main garage there, and that just feeds a couple of circuits for emergency stuff like my garage door, deep freezer, furnace, boiler, that kind of stuff. And what I'm going to do is, once I get my bigger array up, I am going to, if I can get this open with one hand, see if I can do it. Got it. If I can get this all hooked up. So here's an inverter that I have. This is actually, they sent me the wrong one. I'm getting this swapped out for another one because I'm going to do a 24 volt battery bank. And then I got my charge controllers underneath. You can see them. Got those stupid cheap. But so my whole system, gosh, what did I pay? I paid 50 cents a watt for my panels. You can get even cheaper panels now. There's so many panels out there that are just dirt cheap. I don't know. I think I've got, let me think about it, $200 into my panels, and I've got like 1,500 watts or something like that. So I'll just trace it back. So my panels are going to be ground mounted because it's cheap to do. I had those huge fence posts laying around. A bag of Quickcrete's $5-6. Dig the hole. So doing a ground array, really cheap. Panels were cheap. For my wire to go from my panels to my charge controllers in the box there, I'm using a low voltage landscape wire. And you're like, what? You're going to burn your shed down. No way, man. This stuff's 12 gauge. It's rated up to 20 amps. My panels only make 9 amps. Okay, this is way overkill. And the voltage is well below the threshold on this low voltage wire. So this stuff is a great way to save money. Menards has the cheapest, at least in my area. This stuff is really cheap and absolutely rated for what I need it to be rated for. So panels to here. So the panels were cheap. The ground array's cheap. My charge controllers were cheap. Now mine are MPPT charge controllers, multi-point tracking, blah, 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 in my little Faraday box there. But if I was going to do it over again, to save even more money, I would do the PWM old style charge controllers, okay? You can get them so cheap that are really high amp. Yeah, you're going to lose 10 to 15% efficiency, but with how cheap solar, just put up an extra panel or two, how cheap solar panels are, and save a ton of money on those charge controllers, okay? Just use this, get some PWM charge controllers, and then obviously I've got an inexpensive inverter too, but a lot of people using these. They're inexpensive, and there's a lot of people that are having good track records with this brand, okay, off Amazon, if they send you the right one, for Pete's sake. So what am I missing? Oh, and then I'll go from that inverter through my transfer switch that goes to my important stuff, and then I'll be able to run a bunch of stuff off grid. You know, you don't have to go through all the red tape. It'd be just like if I was running my house on a generator, you know, except I'm running it through a battery bank. So, oh, that's the other thing. That's where you're going to have trouble saving money, is with these galldarn batteries. They're so expensive. You can forget lithium. That stuff's wicked expensive. It's coming down in price, but it's lead acid is still by far the cheapest. And if you're going to go lead acid, golf cart batteries, floor scrubber batteries. If you're going to really drop some coin on like a good sized battery bank, get a forklift battery. Especially if you have like a garage like this. Like I could have a truck drop off a forklift battery. I could get a little dolly thing and I could keep a huge forklift battery back here. There's a ton of capacity, right? So that's just a cheap way to do it. Or you can just do, golf cart batteries, whatever. I chose to go 24 volts. You don't have to, but you can really build a sizable system for not a lot of money. And then the other thing is, so I'm in Minnesota. It's literally been this kind of weather for 2 weeks. We've got maybe 2 hours of sunshine in the last 2 weeks. Well, guess what? Doesn't matter how big your solar panels are. The wind in my area is very so-so. So even if I had a micro wind turbine, which I might do, yeah, that'll help, but it's just not enough to even run my deep freezer, my 10 cubic foot deep freezer with all this stuff, which sucks. So what you have to do is, at least when you're in my area, you have to have a generator to charge up that battery bank. Now, this is an AC one. This is for my house. This all snowballs, man. You start with this stuff and get into everything else. But what I'm going to do is I have another one of these engines. I have the exact copy of this one laying in the corner of the shed over there. And instead of having an AC generator, this is belt drive, I'm going to put a permanent magnet alternator. And I'm going to build a second one of these just for charging my battery bank. You can pick up a PMA off eBay for like $170, $180 for whatever system you have, 12 volt, 24, 36, 48, whatever. And then I'll be able to charge up my battery bank and run. Yes, I'm still going to have to use a generator, but it's going to have to run at a fraction of the time that it would be running if I didn't have the solar backup or the battery bank. So that's the whole goal here behind all this stuff. But you can do it cheap, especially if you're doing stuff yourself, you're resourceful with materials. You can get some great off-grid power for the stuff that matters pretty cheap. So don't let it stop you. Get started with some of this stuff. Some of it's hard to get right now, but piece it together. Solar panels are still easy to get. But no, it's a great thing to gain a little bit more independence, a little more peace of mind in an uncertain world.